welcome to today's webinar, From Upload to Download, How to Prevent Common File Translation Issues. I'm Candace Chapman, Head of Marketing for Pairaphrase. Thank you for joining us today. I think you'll be glad you did, and you should come away with key strategies to help you tackle even the most frustrating file translations with confidence. We'll be guided today by our product expert, Florencia Russo, but you may know her as Flor. She's our amazing customer success manager here at Pairaphrase, and we'll go over the trickiest documents to translate. Before we get right into it, I just have a few notes. You can ask questions at any time by submitting them in the question box on the right, and we'll answer as many of them as we can after the presentation. We'll be recording the session, and we'll send you a link to the video via email in case you missed anything or would like to pass the info along to your team. And that's it. So while most of you know Flor, you may not know much about her background. She's a certified Spanish-English translator, graduated from the National University of La Plata, Argentina. She specializes in technical translation for the automotive, oil and gas, and technology sectors. She's a self-proclaimed tech enthusiast, and her passion for technology began at age 15 when she used a compact Desk Pro 386 computer and basic programming to create her first computer-assisted dictionary, which combined her love of language and innovation. Since 2017, Flor has delivered courses and workshops on digital tools for translators, sharing practical insights with local and international audiences. She's served 3 years as president and is currently vice president of the board of the Association of Certified Translators of La Plata, where she also teaches a full course on technology and AI for translators, promoting the effective integration of digital resources into translation workflows. Her work bridges language and technology, helping translators enhance both efficiency and quality through the smart use of digital tools, and we are so glad to have her on our team. Please welcome Flor.
Okay, hi everybody, welcome.
Hi, Flor.
Welcome. Hello, hi Candace. Thank you so much
Take it
for
away.
the presentation. Thank you. So, okay, welcome everybody, and thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Today we are gonna talk about something very, very practical. That is how to prevent common file translation issues before they happen. You know that when we translate files, we are not only translating words, because the system also has to read the file structure, extract the content, preserve formatting, and also handle sometimes images, tables, tags, or scanned text sometimes. So a file may look simple on the screen, but there can be a lot happening behind scenes. So today, the goal is to help you understand what can affect the translation process and how to prepare files for better results and what to do when a file doesn't behave as expected. And we'll go through common issues, which are in fact those that are in your questions and challenges with PDF files, Word files, PowerPoint, XLIFF, IDML, and also image-based content. So we'll try to keep the focus on a simple problem solution pattern, examples, so you can apply them right away. So let's go into it right now. As a summary of this webinar, I told you I prepared it based on your own questions and challenges, and we usually have this problem. Some files may look normal, but do not translate cleanly or as expected. And why does that happen? Because file formats can hide complex structures, that is, internal structures that are not seen on screen, they are not obvious, they are not clear, because they are working behind what we see. So a general solution here is to start with the cleanest file possible. Focus on content first, before layout, focus on content, and review formatting after download. And now we will go file by file, checking what we can do to prevent or solve, if we have to, the problems that may arise. The first file we will work with is the doc file. It is really common. It is something that we translate mainly every single day. But although we for sure see on screen something clear, something clean, which is text, we usually may have these problems with formatting shifts, tables that get broken, or text that is missing in the translation. What is the reason? It is because DOCX files usually contain many things behind scenes. They may contain text boxes, complex tables, but also track changes, comments, even hidden text or images. All that will or may cause issues in the process of translating them using a CAT tool or a TMS like Pairaphrase. The solution here is to always accept track changes, if any, remove comments, simplify tables as much as we can, and confirm, that is, check that the text is fully editable. For you to see an example, this is a very simple docx file, very, very simple, just text, and look how many things are behind it. This is the HTML that is the, let's say, the backbone of my docx file. As you can see, there are many things behind that we do not usually see, but the machine, the translation management system, must deal with them when processing the file. So if those things are not clear enough, are not properly inserted in the file, things may happen and we may have certain problems. So again, as I told you, check if you have track changes, if you have images, if you have embedded tables, for instance, from another program, another software, because all that may cause issues in your docx file. Now we move into PDFs. PDF files are one of the most challenging files we deal with because we can have PDF in a number of formats. We don't have only a single PDF format, but many of them. So a problem we may have is that a PDF may get stuck or produce a messy result. Why? Because, and this is very important for you to know, PDFs in their origin are designed for viewing content, not for editing purposes. So sometimes they may be scanned, they may be locked, they may be flattened, they may be saved as a different format, for instance, PDF-A, or they may also be in the form of a form, let's say, or form-like. So a solution for this is the best solution possible is to use the original editable document, be it Word, PowerPoint, InDesign file, or any file that was originally containing that text. Of course, that is not always possible, and we will have to learn how to deal with PDFs when we do not have the editable version. And to do that, I suggest you watch this webinar we gave some time ago about best practices for translating PDFs, where you will see many ways to deal with each PDF type separately. Today, we are going to see it in a more general way, and we will go first with form-like PDFs. Form-like PDFs often have layout issues after translation because they may contain fixed fields and tables, checkboxes, labels, and all those features may not convert naturally. My suggestion is to focus first on getting the content, because what I think as a translator myself, the content is in most of the time more important than the layout. The layout is something that we can reconstruct, rebuild afterwards. But the message conveyed in a text, in a document, is really important. So a way to deal with those issues a form like PDF may cause is to try paraphrase agents in the AI sandbox, where we have added, and we'll show you, some pre-made prompts. And I wanted to let you know that this is also being renewed, renovated, revamped right now. So you will see in the very near future a whole new screen with more agents and abilities for you to use. And here we have some pre-made prompt, as I said, already prepared for you to translate PDF documents or IEPs if you are in the education industry, focusing specifically on the content more than on the layout. So I invite you to try this on, and you will see that you get very good results. Now, if we talk about scanned PDFs, text, as you may already have seen, may translate incorrectly or incompletely sometimes. Why? Because scanned PDFs are images. So Paraphrase or any other tool in the market must use an OCR, that is an optical character recognition system, to read that text. That is to interpret the image and convert that image, that drawing, into a character. And that character becomes a letter, and that letter will make up the full text. So when we deal with scanned PDFs, the better way to go is to use a clear scan and to review everything, especially the important, the relevant content, such as names, numbers, dates, or if we can try to find the original editable file. Again, try to focus on getting the content more than the layout, especially if we are working with scanned PDFs, and expect some manual layout cleanup afterwards. Now we move into locked PDFs. A locked PDF is a PDF that has been locked somehow by a password or by, for instance, a digital signature. And when we have those PDF types, we may have this problem, or we will, I will say, because Paraphrase and any other tool cannot process PDFs that are locked because they are locked for a reason. So they usually get stuck and cannot be processed. When we get this, I will show you this message in Paraphrase that it says translation failed because file is password protected. That means that your PDF is probably or was probably locked by a password, and you can confirm that by opening the PDF in Adobe Acrobat and checking the security settings. As you can see here, the document has an open password and it cannot be opened. It cannot be copied or edited. That means that it cannot be processed by a CAD tool or a TMS like Paraphrase. And what we can do with this, we can simply print this document as a new PDF, and that way we will get rid of the password and we will be able to process it. To do that, you will simply go to the menu and save the, and print the PDF as a different PDF. So you can see here, print to Microsoft Print in PDF format. When you do that, you will get the same PDF with no modifications and without the password. Of course, if you do have the password, use it. And if you are not dealing with confidential information, you can also use an online unlock tool like I Love PDF to unlock it. But I suggest, because sometimes we do not want our documents to be processed online by any tool that is not secure enough, I suggest you use the technique I showed you. Print the document as a PDF. This is another file type I mentioned before, PDF-A. PDF-A usually get stuck also, even though they are not locked. They do not have a password, but they were saved in a format designed to preserve the document, so that may limit editing or processing. If we find out that we have a PDF-A file, what we can do to be able to process it in Pairaphrase is to open the file in Adobe Acrobat and click Enable Editing. Or we can also save it as a regular PDF before uploading it again. So, for example, in this case, I have a PDF file, and as you can see, I have here in the upper bar the possibility to enable editing of that file. So I can click here, click OK, and the restrictions will disappear. Another way is to go to the menu and save the PDF as a normal or regular PDF. Moving on, sometimes when we are dealing with PDF files, we can see that we get different results according to the different PDF conversion settings we have set up in Pairaphrase. You may already know that in Pairaphrase, we have two PDF conversion settings that are ready for you to use and to test with different files to see which one works better. I always tell you, try both every time you need to translate a PDF with a format like PDF or a PDF with a complex layout. And that way you will see which one works better for your needs. Because there is no rule of thumb here, retain flow in text usually behaves better with those files which has flow in text throughout the document with no heavy layout, and retain page layout the other way around with heavy layout PDFs. But I always say that try both of them because you may be surprised by the one that works better. Remember that every time you change your settings here, you have to go to the bottom and click Save for the system to apply your new settings. Moving forward, now we will talk about PowerPoint files. When we deal with PowerPoint files, which are not very difficult files to deal with because they are usually editable, but sometimes we may find that some slide text does not translate, or we have translated text overlaps. And that happens because text may be inside images, we may have screenshots, we may have grouped objects, charts, and all that may cause issues. So my suggestion is always check slides before you upload and convert important image text so as to avoid having those mistranslations or no translation at all. I mean this, if I go here to this example, you can see that in this box, I have text which I can easily edit. But if I go here, this, although we can see text, this is an image, and Pairaphrase will not process this image in the same way it will process the text. So this will be kept as it is. It will not be translated. The same happens if you have a graphic or a table also pasted as an image. Something else that may happen with PowerPoint translation is that we also have the text expansion phenomena. That means that when you translate from a language into another, you may have a different number of characters. For instance, if you translate from English into Spanish, you will have 30% more content. So that means that the text inside the text boxes will probably use more room, will take longer or bigger spaces, and slides may look crowded. So my suggestion is to always leave extra room in text boxes and again review each slide after download. Something else, as I told you before, you may have images embedded in your PowerPoint, and that text inside the images will not be translated like regular text. So the solutions, one of them may be recreating the image text as editable text, or another solution that we have added to Pairaphrase recently and is really great is using the Sandbox to translate images using Gemini as your provider, as your LLM. You will see that images are translated in a great way, in a great manner, and you will be able to use them in your PowerPoint translation afterwards. Now we are moving into IDML files. IDML files may be tricky as well because they are design files. And we may have these problems. Text may appear broken, you may have spacing that looks differently, or you may find tags in your translated documents or segments that repeat throughout the document. And that happens because IDML files usually include fragmented text, layers, hidden formatting, linked text frames, and all those features of an IDML file may cause issues when processes them in a TMS. So the solution here is to have a good InDesign file beforehand. Prepare the InDesign file before exporting it from InDesign. Try to use consistent paragraph and character styles, minimize inline formatting, try to avoid layers because layers usually cause text to be repeated. Try to clean hidden characters, and if possible, test a sample before translating a full file because usually IDML files are really big. So maybe you can translate the first page of the whole document to see if you are dealing with a very well prepared InDesign file or if you need to improve it. And to improve your IDML file before translating it, I suggest you have a look at our knowledge base where we have some best practices and suggestions you can follow to have a clear and clean IDML file ready to be processed in Pairaphrase. When we talk about XLIFF files or XLIFF files, we know that we may have some problems such as formatting breaks or tags. And this happens in particular because it's very difficult to have a look at the formatting of an XLIFF file. It's not something that we can see. Everything happens behind scenes because XLIFF files do not only contain text, but also target text, tags, placeholders, and metadata, and all that may cause issues. A solution to these potential problems is to use XLIFF version 2.0 when possible, and of course, try to avoid removing tags. We may also find XLIFF file translation issues depending on the engine we are using. We learned that when we use DeepL for translating XLIFF 1.2 files instead of 2.0, we may find issues because DeepL has some problems translating those files. So again, the suggestion is to try to re-export your document as XLIFF 2.0 or try another engine if you cannot. And I wanted to show you, again, if you go to our knowledge base, you will see that we have some best practices on how to deal with XLIFF files. I wanted to show you, as an example, how you can detect which version you are working with. If you open your XLIFF file in Notepad++, which is a very, very simple software you can download to your computer, you can check the version at the very beginning of the file. As you can see here, it says version 1.2. So I may have issues if I have this version. And if you pay attention here, you will see that it says version 2.0. So with this very simple method, you can know beforehand if your XLIFF file may cause issues when processing it. When layout is the problem, I always suggest focusing in the content more than on the way the file looks. Because sometimes, especially when we deal with scanned PDFs, for example, or form-like PDFs, like this one, I will show you one as an example. This is a form-like PDF. So you can see that the information is, why do I say form-like? Because look at what happens when I try to select the text. You can see that the text is not selected in a smooth way or in a clean way. That is because we have some fields here that were filled in before exporting the file. And all that will for sure cause issues when translating it. So my suggestion is, in these cases, try to focus more on the content and test the AI sandbox to translate the content more accurately and not focusing so much on the exact layout. You will see that you'll get really good results. This is what I said before. Try to use the sandbox when the priority is accurate, clear, readable content instead of matching the original layout exactly. If you need to match the original layout, we do have tools in the file translation process, of course, to help you do that, and you will probably need some manual work afterwards. But if your priority is the content, I suggest trying the sandbox always. So if you need a clear translation and the file format is causing many problems, use the sandbox to extract or copy the content and ask it for a clear, faithful, customer-facing wording. Before uploading your file, so as to make issues disappear beforehand, try to use the original editable file. Check if the PDF text is selectable. Remove locks or restrictions, as I showed you before. Try to convert any PDF type to a regular PDF. Check if you're dealing with scanned pages. Look for text inside images. Remember that text will probably not be translated if it is embedded. And simplify crowded layouts, especially to avoid text expansion problems. And after downloading, usually some users think that the final file is downloaded and that is all. But I always suggest open and review the file, check that everything is okay, that nothing is missing, there is no duplicated text, review tables, charts, check names, and every important information in your document. These are some common scenarios you may face when translating different document types. This is just a summary for you to remember what you can do to prevent or correct issues if you find them when translating those file types. Remember, file translation is more than translating words. Behind every document, every upload, the system has to read the whole structure, and it has to extract the text, the content, and it also has to protect formatting. It will have to handle images, table, tags, layout, and after all that is done and translation is done, the system has to rebuild the translated file to get to the original layout. So the cleaner the source file, the smoother the result will get. Remember that a file can look simple, but may behave in a complex way because we don't see everything on screen. What we see on the page is only part of the story. Everything that is behind may affect the translation process. So the best results come from the right workflow, not just the right tool. It's not enough with selecting this or that tool, but we have to follow a good, smooth process to have a good file to get a good result in the end. As a final takeaway, and I already told you that the best results come from clean source files, realistic layout expectations, careful review, and choosing the right workflow, be it the file translation workflow or the AI sandbox or any of the paths I showed you before. Use file translation when layout matters and all the features Pairaphrase has for you, and use the Pairaphrase agents or the AI sandbox when content clarity matters the most. Okay, so this is all I have for you. So if you have any questions, I am ready to answer them.
All right. Thank you so much, Flor. That's a lot of information in 30 minutes, and hopefully it was very helpful. Let's go ahead and answer some questions. So the first one is, how do I know which PDF type I am dealing with?
Okay, good. Okay, the easiest way, of course, is to have a look at the name of the file. There you will see which PDF type you're dealing with. And you can also open the PDF in Adobe Acrobat and check for the different features you may find, such as the security settings, where you will see if the document is password protected or signed with a digital signature. And you can also try to select the text and see if the text is selectable and editable. Or you can also check, now it disappeared, but I showed you before that you have a blue bar in the upper side where it says enable editing in the case of PDF-A. But I think the most useful way is to have a look at the way you can or cannot select text. So that will tell you how hard it will be for
Mhm.
the software to deal with that document.
All right. And another question, do you have suggestions for translating Canva files?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, this is something new. Now we are working in Pairaphrase in a Canva integration. That means that users will be able to translate material created in Canva directly within Canva. So you will not need to download your file before translating, but directly translate it within the system.
Yes, this is very exciting. I can't wait to release that. I think it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, it
Um,
will.
another question is about Google Files. You might have a little news on that for.
Oh, yes, I do. I'm happy as well to tell you that. Again, we are working with an integration into Google Drive, so users will be able to translate files directly into Google Drive. No need to upload files to Paraphrase.
Awesome. So great. I'm so excited. Well, that is the time, and those are all the questions. So I hope that you've benefited from our time together. And please know we are always available to help you make the most of Paraphrase. I'll just mention that we are going to be releasing our new live AI translator and note-taking app soon, Paravoice. So come on to our website and get signed up for that to be the first to know. That's going to be exciting. It's just paraphrase.com/paravoice. And you can always send additional questions to Flor at florr@paraphrase.com, and she'll get back to you personally. Please visit our resources page at paraphrase.com/resources and follow us on social media to get the latest news and information. As I mentioned, let us know if you have an idea for a new webinar, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.